2.
Okay, good morning, Rebecca. It's so nice to see you again today.
Good morning, Julie.
I'm so excited to be talking to you about our process and our step. Here we have a Julie Talks Money, because the goal is that to get you into the house that you want and also a little bit more in the life that you want, right?
Correct.
This is a campaign to change a whole lot of things in what it is that you have right now, what you're doing. Okay, so first thing that I want to tell you is we have a 4-step process basically for interviewing potential new clients and also for the people that I coach. So the step 1, the first step is identification of your vision and the identification of where it is that you want to be. Like I say, I usually take people from where they are to where they want to go. And one of the things, you can't really know how to do that unless you have a vision in your head, right? Of where it is that you want to go and what you want to do. So the first thing is to create a vision board.
What's a vision board?
Well, I wondered if you'd heard of those or not. A vision board is a project that you make kind of like a collage. What I want you to do is go get some foam core. It works a lot better than poster board. And the minimum size should be 11 by 14, but you want something generally a little bit bigger. 20, I would recommend like a 22 by 28 or something like that. You can find it at Target or Staples Center or Office Depot or something like that. And basically it's a really nice sturdy board, more sturdy than cardboard.
Okay.
So then you're going to create on this vision board a visual representation of what it is that you're looking for and what it is that you want.
What types of things should I include?
Well, you're going to include photographs. You can take pictures, and maybe you have some pictures of things, but most of the time we don't have physical pictures anymore because they're on our phones, right? So the thing to do, and the thing that's most fun to do, is to go through a whole lot of magazines and start looking at the pictures of ads that they have in there, or even it could be the graphics that some magazine editors put in for an article, and start cutting things out with scissors.
Okay.
So I highly recommend a glue stick. It works a lot better than Scotch tape because Scotch tape will eventually yellow. So it's really nice, you know, you cut out these pictures and it doesn't matter what shape, you know, you can follow the people or you can do it in a square, however you want to do it.
Okay.
You know, put it on with a glue stick on the back and then put it onto the vision board.
Okay.
So that is something that you can get your whole family involved with too, because I'm sure that your daughter and your husband have ideas of what they'd like to include too.
Definitely, definitely.
So this
I have
would
some
be
things in mind for that.
See, already you've got a visual, right?
Right.
And the whole thing is that really, truly, if you can see it and hold it there in your consciousness, it's a lot easier to create that and bring it into reality.
Right. Okay. Okay. So it's kind of like if I don't do it, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
But you know, if I have it in front of me, it's, you know, it's right there.
Right. Yes. What we want to do is make a distinction between visions and dreams. Now you can have a dream of something and you can have that in your head and you're like, oh, you know, I'm dreaming of this house or this location stuff, but you don't really have a real picture in it that you need to hold. And I would recommend something that would be the style of a house that you like, not just a house, you know, and be reasonable, not a mansion either, but just something that would be great. You want a yard, you've said, you know, you want 2 stories. So, you know, pick out pictures of homes that have those attributes.
Okay.
Right. You've got a dog, or if you have a dog, you want to put a dog in there. You want a yard, maybe a swing set, maybe you mentioned a pool. That, you know, it's not impossible because a whole lot of things are possible when you actually have that vision and hold on to that vision, and the board helps you do it.
Right.
Okay. So do you understand the difference there between a vision and a dream?
Yes. So I just want to keep it realistic. That's the point. So just have a realistic vision of what I want. Of course, everyone wants a mansion. Everyone wants a Ferrari. But, you know, my realistic vision is, like you said, a 2-story home, ideally with a room on the first floor, a pool in the backyard, a dog, preferably a German Shepherd. No, so I totally understand.
Yeah. You know, maybe you want an SUV. Maybe you want a new car. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to have a private school for your daughter. You know, these are all kinds of things you can have, because basically the difference between a vision and a dream is that a dream is something that we think about, but we never take action on necessarily, right? But a vision is something that we plan to accomplish at a later date.
Right.
And it is something that we keep holding in our head because we can see it. We see it. So you have to put that vision board in a pretty prominent place. They're going
Right.
to see it every day. You're going to look at it, whether it's next to the television or next to your computer, or you can see it, because a lot of stuff, we'll see it and our subconscious will register it. And what happens in our subconscious actually works faster to make things come to reality, right?
Right.
Okay, so the second step is going to be the analysis that first starts.
Hey, I do that all the time, Julie.
That was a different one. So,
Oh
that was a
boy.
weird one to do. Okay, so what we're going to
First
do
starts.
first starts with an investment policy statement. And I mentioned that before. And now you say, why an investment policy statement? Well, again, it's one of those things that you can have thoughts about a certain thing, but until you actually put it down on paper or think about it first, you have
That
to
was
think about
funny.
it first, right?
Hmm.
And then get away from that terminology, not necessarily think about it as an investment policy statement, but just say, here is what my investment policy is going to be. And you don't deviate from that once you set that down. So again, you have to talk to your husband about it, because you have to both be on the same page about that
Correct.
kind of thing, right? And if you are talking to financial companies, they have mutual funds. There's thousands of mutual funds, right? But most of them have a specific mission or policy of what it is that they invest in. So if you have an investment in a mutual fund that says that it invests only in healthcare companies, and that's what it is, well, they're only going to invest in healthcare companies, right?
Right.
They're not going to invest in arboretums. They're not going to invest in cannabis. They're not going to invest in the railroads, right?
Right.
They have their statement. They're only going to be doing what it is that their statement says, and that's what they're telling their investors too. So you have to have that same thing. What you have to have is, first of all, kind of like an agreement, and know in your head that you're not going to be chasing every shiny penny that comes along.
Egg squirrel, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There are so many things that can take our attention and that sound great, and they sound like, oh, you can get rich overnight, or, Bitcoin, this is wonderful, this is the new
Oh,
trending thing. You've heard
no,
of that,
thank you.
right?
No, thank you.
Hmm.
I don't deal in Bitcoin.
No, and that's smart, because it's brand new. We don't really know enough about it. It sounds great, just like flipping houses can sound great, but until you actually really get into it and you have to learn about it, it's just a distraction. It's a shiny penny. Go ahead and
Hmm.
watch it on television when they just solve everything in half an hour and everything is great, which is not
Right.
real life. But know
Right.
that that's not going to be your plan, right?
Right. I know this is not a get rich quick scheme.
Exactly. You want to know what it is that you can and cannot invest in, and stick to it. Okay.
Correct.
Um, you need to have your own investment policy statement that includes what level of risk you're looking to take on. Okay. What is your timeline or your horizon for when you need the money, right? Or what you want the money for, which goes back to the vision board, and
Right.
what the total amount of money is to start, and how much money is going to be put in over the course of time. So you need to be aware, like I said, of the different scams and the things that are out there. On
Right.
Julie Talks Money, I call them all the shiny pennies. And like you said, a squirrel, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, there it is.
Right.
Oh, she said, people are constantly dangling this gorgeous little carrot in front of you, right? And saying, oh, this
Hmm.
would be wonderful. And we
Right.
all sit there and go, I'm a smart person. I'm a smart woman. I can do that too. It doesn't sound so hard. And the next thing
Right.
you know, we're taken off of our path and we're going a whole different direction. And
Right.
it gets us totally off track.
I call that scheming and dreaming.
Oh, I like
So
that. That's good.
yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities to start developing a plan, and then you pile so many things on your plate, and then you're not able to actualize any of them because you either don't have the capital to invest that they didn't tell you you needed to invest up front.
Right?
I got roped into World Financial Group at one point, so
Oh my
I
gosh.
totally understand the MLM, or
MLM
multi-level
thing.
marketing. The pyramid schemes, where everyone at the top makes all the money and down below they're just helping the people at the top make money.
Right.
So I have a little bit of experience with that, but not a ton.
Yes, and of course with that too, then you got to go to the meetings. They go rah rah rah, you know, and they're going to get you all excited about that,
Yep.
you know, to keep you involved and to keep you, you know, spending more money, right, or doing the time that they want you to do with the phone zone. I was involved with them many years ago
Oh,
too,
okay.
you know,
Okay.
before they got bought by TD Ameritrade. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
and
Because I
there's
know,
several other groups like that now that are out there too, same kind of
yeah.
thing. And some are
Yeah.
beneficial, some have good programs,
Well,
but
yeah.
some of
Well,
them,
I know World Financial Group is owned by Transamerica now. So, and
that's it,
Transamerica
Transamerica.
is, you know,
Hmm.
a reputable company, you know, but
Hmm.
it's still a tough gig to get into that you have to spend a lot of time and you have to build your team.
Absolutely. You know, I am not against MLMs. I know a few people who have made lots and lots and lots of money on it. But
Likewise.
again, they focus on it. They focus on that. That is their plan, you know, and
Right.
that's their vision, and they just do it and execute it relentlessly. So
Right.
when we have our second meeting, Becca, then we're going to be talking in more depth and detail about what your investment plan is and the
Okay.
risks that you're willing to take on. Okay. And there's lots of different risks depending on what it is that you're looking at. You know, um, if you're looking at buying a car, it's one thing. If you're looking at buying a house, it's a whole other thing. If you're looking at stocks and bonds, then there's a whole other level of risk. So we're going to be
Right.
talking about that, right, in the
Right. I
second
would
meeting.
love some help with building that out because I've never really been in a position to develop an investment plan. So
Mhm.
this would be, I've never felt like I was qualified, I guess for to hire a financial advisor or to even really sit down and discuss a financial investment plan. So
Yeah.
that'll be very, very helpful.
You know, and I'm so glad that you brought that up too, because number one, a lot of people think they don't have enough money to hire a financial advisor. Number two, you know, you don't ever think in terms of an investment plan, right? And that's number three. If you go talk to somebody who is a financial, um, you know, it could be an investment advisor, it could be somebody who is at one of the major companies and they just want you to talk to them. They will put you into the same plan that they're putting everybody into
Right.
because you don't
Right.
know any different. So you sit there and go, okay, well, that sounds good. And you're supposed to be the expert, right?
Right.
But if you don't have a plan in your head already, from talking to somebody like me, they might put you into something that's very risky. They might put you into something that's going to benefit them with the higher commission. And you don't
Right.
know anything about that. You
And I
know,
wouldn't
they
know what questions to ask.
exactly. Or you wouldn't say, you know, there's a whole lot of people now who really want to invest in um, green or environmental technology companies,
Hmm.
and that's part of their plan. So they don't want to invest specifically in oil or gas or any of those other companies that don't go along with their green philosophy. So
Right.
if you don't have that in mind, you know, you could end up getting put into some kind of a plan or fund that goes against your philosophical desire.
Right,
You know, so
right. Or you might just miss the boat entirely and miss out on an opportunity to make a lot of money.
yeah, exactly. And you know, there's lots of ways these days that you can start small. You and I have talked a lot about technology and how that's made so
Right.
many things possible that were not possible in the past. And you know, it used to be that you had to buy things and shares in lots of 100. And you know, the price of stocks these days were starting at $89 or $100 a share. Amazon 400. How can
Oh
you buy
man.
100 shares of that, right?
Oh, right.
But now using lots of different things and platforms, you can buy fractions of shares. You can do it with your phone. You can do it online. It's much easier. So we'll talk about that a lot more in our second meeting. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I do a little
Okay.
bit of trading on E-Trade. So
Well, that's
so
good.
that would actually be really helpful to learn.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely you can do that. And there's some different companies that have different educational platforms too. But you know, Acorns and Robinhood and some of those other things, you can also do smaller. But and Webull, that's another good one. But I would
Hmm.
wait until we talk about
Okay.
it because
Yes.
each one has a fee. Each one, you know, if it costs you $5 a month and you've only got $5 invested, well, your money's going all to them, right?
Right.
Same kind of thing that you want to avoid, just like when it goes to a broker or something.
Right.
So we'll talk about that. And then in our third meeting, and this is the basic process that I do with most of my clients, if not all of my clients, just starting with the vision board and the vision. Then second would be the investment policy statement and what it is that you plan to do. And then the next step is what I call the order of operations.
Okay.
Okay. And that is what are the steps that you're going to take to execute your investment policy statement to get to the vision
Right.
that you're going to do.
Right.
So I see you've got a calendar in the back, and I'm sure you do that for work, which is great. I've got one too. You can't see it here, but we all make things and put things onto a calendar because we need to know if our employer needs us to be at a certain place at a certain time. If your daughter needs to be at a dance lesson at a certain time or something, if you don't have it on the calendar, you can't make the plan to how you're going to get there and when you're going to get there on time, right?
Right. Right.
Right. So essentially, we're going to be doing the same thing, only it's going to be with your investment life, and especially towards reaching your goal of getting you into the house that you're going to have, whether it's the one on your vision board or if it's the first step towards it. That is
Right.
part of the overriding vision that you have that we're going to make happen. And we're going
Okay.
to be working towards to make happen, and talking about your overall financial life. Right? That
Okay.
makes sense?
That
Okay.
sounds like a great plan.
Because, again, kind of going back to the policy statement, you might have an idea then what you're going to invest in, but then the question becomes, where do you start? Do you look at a 401k? What are you going to put into your 401k? When are you going to put
Mm-hmm.
it in? Is it going to be every paycheck? Are the employers matching what money you're putting in? Do you need
Right.
to, if they are, it might be beneficial to bump up that amount. If you have any other kind of investment, even if you've got a savings account or your emergency fund, which I highly recommend that you have to begin with, it's like, okay, out of each paycheck, which is a regular scheduled time, right? What's going to come. You
Mm-hmm.
put, I don't care if it's $5 in there, but put
Right.
something into that. And if you don't calendar it, likely it's not going to happen. Right.
Right. Right. Well, and I have it actually set up in my bank account currently for scheduled transfers. So my direct deposit goes into my checking account, and then I have it set up for an automatic transfer to my savings account every paycheck. So I actually do that
Ah,
already.
that's great. That's wonderful. And then when you
Yeah.
start out with something else with investment, you can have another transfer to either 401k or something else when we talk about what it is that you want to do and how you're going to do it,
Right.
especially if you're going to maybe set up a whole different account for a house fund.
Correct. And that's in the works as well. So I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about home buying, but I do know one thing, and that is that I have to have a surplus of savings set aside for the various costs associated with closing on the house and things like
Sure.
that.
Down
But
payment, closing costs.
but
Hmm.
I'm what you call a home buying noob. I'm a noob, and that's okay. I'm totally a noob.
And that is absolutely okay. I mean, everybody starts there somewhere as a newbie or a noob
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're in good hands with the fantastic realtor that's part of my team with Julie Talks Money. Jen is, I
Right.
know, going to be fantastic and help you out with all that really well. And she's up there in your area, which is great. But here's
Right.
one of the other things, too, that it's not just what you want for the near term. When you are also looking at your order of operations, we're going to be talking about what are your long-term goals and plans. And that's something you should have on your vision board too, not just the near term, but also, what you want down the road. Is it going to
Right.
be music lessons for your daughter? Is it going to be dance lessons? Is it going to be, a new car every 5 years or 10 years?
Right.
If not, then that's fine. But is it also something on your career path? What do you think you might be doing? But also, we have to take the long view here, and the vision stuff. Retirement is one of the things that they say a lot of people don't even start planning until they're 31 or 32. Now, I know you've
Yeah.
already gotten started, and if you've got the 401k, it's easier to do, but your
Mhm.
husband being self-employed, he probably doesn't have anything that's a formal kind of retirement
Right.
plan. But you guys need to start thinking about that.
I agree.
This calendaring is going to be near term, but then also looking at your long term horizon, and we're going to do backing it up, and doing it in periods of time. What do you
Okay.
want 5 years from now? What do you want 10 years from now? What do you want 20 years from now or 30 years from now? Because your life situation is going to change, right?
Right. Oh, ideally. I mean, at the end of
Well,
all
and
of
we
this,
hope all to the
yeah.
good, right? We want
Yeah.
and hope that everybody's going to remain healthy.
Yeah.
and that you will be able, let's say you make it as a plan that in your order of operations, in your calendar, you say, okay, great, I'm going to get into a house this year, but in 5 years or 7 years, I want to be into a bigger house,
Right,
or maybe a
right.
different area, or a ranch, with horses. I don't
Oh
know.
man, you're reading my mind, Julie. So, my biggest problem, and I think my biggest hang up with being able to plan out for the long term is the
Hmm.
fact that I did so much contract work in my early employment days, and
Hmm.
I've had full-time jobs and everything, but it's hard to plan long-term goals when you're a contractor because
Yeah,
you never know how long that contract is going to last. And then things get cut short, the contract can get extended, and then I still have a little bit of that residual fear from
sure.
having been a contractor. Even though I've been with my current employer for 3.5 years, you still have that tinge of a fear kind of in the back of your mind going, okay, is it safe to take this next step? Is it safe?
Hmm.
Will I be able to make the mortgage payments? And living with that mindset, it makes it hard to plan for the long term. And I know the people, who come to you, I know I'm not the only one who's come to you with these issues and with these concerns. And so, I mean, if you can give me some guidance on how to overcome those fears, I think that would be very, very helpful because it's a nagging thing. It really is, and I know I'm not the only one who feels that way.
You're not, and especially because what we have right now in much more of a gig economy, or much more of an independent contractor economy,
Hmm.
so many employers are saying, hey, we're not going to have these jobs where we're going to be having to pay the payroll taxes and unemployment and all the other things that
Hmm.
companies do. Then they put the onus on the person who's the contractor, who's not an employee necessarily, but
Right.
is a contractor. And I get it, because I've been there and I've done so many freelance things, and you just never quite know. But
Yeah.
that's where you sometimes are going to still have to squeeze a little bit and know that you're going to keep up with your plan anyway. And you've been really good in, or lucky, or because of your skill set, you seem to be employed fairly quickly. But that fear still is there in the head.
Yeah, and
And
it's like losing a lot of weight. So it's like going from a size 20 to a size 10 and still feeling that tug toward the plus size clothes because and I went through that. We
uh-huh.
had that discussion, so for the first
Right.
maybe 6 months after I dropped the weight, I was still going to the plus size section, and then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't need to go there anymore. So,
Right.
and it's sort of the same thing. It's a subconscious thing,
Well, it's
you
like keeping
know.
them in the closet too, keeping those larger sizes in your
Oh my
closet,
God.
because you're like, oh, well, it's okay. In case this ever happens again, I've got that stuff there. No,
Yeah.
no,
Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Just
exactly.
go buy, it's like go buy a size 6 jeans or a size 4 jeans and then work to get into those. Don't anticipate going back up in sizes.
Exactly.
So no.
Exactly. That's why you don't want to anticipate going down in your income or down
Yeah.
in your work life. You're going to keep that eye on the prize, eyes on the with
Exactly.
that,
Yeah. No,
and keep looking at it.
yeah, you just have to keep your eye, like you said, keep your eye on the prize, stay focused, and and keep working toward your goals, and
Hmm.
have a healthy network, and keep people around you who are positive and not going to drag you down,
Exactly.
because
If you think about it, it's like having size 4 or size 6 jeans in your closet. It's like its own vision board.
yep.
You can look at those jeans and you're like, someday, someday,
I'll get there. I'll get
and
there.
that means that you have set that goal, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Exactly. Okay, so the last thing is then on step 4, or part 4, in the 4-part coaching in the 4-part section, is legacy. Talking
Hmm.
again about not just you and what you're going to be doing in 30 years, but what your daughter, and if you have any other kids, what they're going to be doing. What is it that
Yeah.
you want to be leaving behind, or what is it that you want to leave as a legacy besides the fact of your wonderful raising the child? Could be
Right.
education, it could be maybe you're having something with a 529 plan, which is a savings plan for kids, an education plan that you
Right.
can have. But here's the nice thing is like if you retire and in 30 years or 25 years, your daughter is out of college, launched into a career, if she's going to college,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that's part of your plan. And then if you don't
Definitely.
use that 529 money, you can actually use it to travel and go to different things where you can study at adult hostels around the world or lots of different things. So is that something that you might want to do too, as part of
I
your
would
legacy, traveling,
Yeah, I would
you
love to go
know?
to Italy. Is like Italy is my Italy's on my bucket list. I've been to
Yeah,
China.
okay.
I've been to China and Hong Kong and Macau.
Wow,
Amazing
that's great.
place.
Hmm.
I would love to go back. I mean, the food, the culture is absolutely fantastic. I ate some really weird stuff while I was there. But no, just the people, the environment, great experience. But no, Italy is definitely on my bucket list. Italy and Spain are the two places I want to see before my time.
Okay, well, definitely put something like those on your vision board too.
Totally.
Because like I
Yeah.
said, it's not just a short-term thing. That's a short term. So in 30 years, do you see yourself retiring in Spain or on the Italian Riviera
Oh my
somewhere,
gosh.
or maybe in a Greek island,
Yeah,
something?
right. Oh, the
Or
south
do
of
you see
France.
yourself? Oh, I love that. Maybe you see yourself gardening or having a fruit orchard, or you're
Right.
planting trees. Because life changes things so many times for us. We never know where we're going to be, but
Right.
you can't just drift there.
Right. Right.
I mean, you
Yeah.
can.
You
There's
have to
thousands of
steer the
people who
boat.
do.
You
There
have
you
to
go.
steer the boat. I mean, you got to have both oars in the water and you got to have them going in the same direction.
Exactly. And you have to have a rudder. It's something that I've had before. It's like you can put your sails up, but if you don't steer it somewhere, the wind is just going to take you wherever the wind takes you. So
Right.
it's great to have the sails up, but you have to have somebody manning the tiller, manning the keel, and steering it. And you have to set
Absolutely.
a course and chart a course. That's it.
Right.
It's like we haven't even talked about it, but that's a metaphor that I use a lot.
Yeah, I
Sometimes.
use a lot of metaphors.
That's a good thing. So, these are the beginnings of what we're going to be attempting to do. Okay.
Okay.
So, this morning, just wanted to give you the overview of what those four things are. And
Okay.
that's why there's usually a 1 hour period for each one, because it's to get you going and to launch the stuff. We'll talk a lot more in detail, right, about what it is that you want on your vision board.
Okay.
And as you start doing some things, because now you've got it in your head, you've got the 4 steps, right? The investment policy statement, and then the order of operations, and then legacy. It's all going to kind of mush around in your head for a little while,
Right.
but that's good because we're
Mhm.
starting that process going. We're
Right.
starting the things happening in your head. So
Mhm.
then when we move forward and we have our second session talking about what it is that's going to be your investment policy statement, I want you to have talked to your husband. I want you to have start thinking about what it is that you would be interested in, what you're not interested in, what level of risk you might be able to take on. We'll talk about that a lot more, in that
Okay.
second section. Okay.
Okay.
And kind of always keep in mind what it is that you want to be not necessarily known for, but in 30 years time, what is the legacy that you're leaving behind? Is it a happy and healthy child? Is it an improved garden patch? Emerson
Right.
said that, to win the smile and laughter of intelligent people is to have succeeded. To leave the world a little bit better than how you found it is also
Right.
one definition of success. So
Right.
what do you want to do for that? And there's all kinds of
Yeah.
things that are wonderful. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just what it is that you feel in your heart.
Right. Well, the my primary desire for my legacy would be to be able to leave my daughter a home of her own,
Mhm.
and not leave her saddled with a hefty mortgage payment and or a rent payment.
Mhm.
I'd like to make sure that she's set for when it's time for her to live on her own and have a home of her own.
Yep, and you can give
And
a great start for her for
yeah, and
that.
you know a little bit about my past, a little bit about my history, and
Mhm.
the reasoning for that. But Milton Berle said, "If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door," and that's exactly what I plan on doing for her. I want to build her door, so all she has to do is walk through.
That's great, and that's a wonderful thing,
Yeah,
because a lot of people don't get that start. And even if you just give her a leg up, by talking about these things and by involving her in this whole process,
Yeah.
you'll be forming some different wiring in her brain that's going to make her think about this stuff.
Right.
She's at a great age for her to be taking part in this kind of thing. And so
Mhm.
you're already going to be helping create a legacy in how you are helping her to think. Now, we
Right.
also had talked at one point that you wanted to be able to have family all stay in the same place and local, but at the same time, you were talking about maybe moving into a different area or into a different size place or a ranch. And,
Mhm.
that was almost like contradictory. So we'll be talking a little bit more on those kinds of things too, about making sure that whatever it is that you do, it doesn't always have to be totally linear. You can have variations on either side, but
Mhm.
you can't have opposing visions.
Oh, no, I totally understand that. Believe me, when I was a little girl, I wanted nothing more than to live on a ranch with a horse, you know, but
Didn't every little girl?
oh yeah, I know, seriously. Actually, a unicorn to be specific.
Oh, okay.
But and I know that's not realistic unless I get a goat, but that's a whole nother story.
I
But
bet you drew some unicorns when you were a kid too, though.
I used to draw a lot of unicorns. They didn't look like unicorns though. So I can't draw a straight line with an I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, Julie. But that's a topic for a whole nother
I
day.
totally get that.
Um, no, but I'm really excited about the process and learning more in depth about each step involved. And I'm excited to work with you through the process and and get my daughter and my dad and my husband involved, and this is going to be an exciting journey. I'm on pins and needles about the whole process.
No, I'm excited to be working with you, Rebecca. I really think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fantastic journey, and you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to have, I hope, a lot of aha moments and a lot of things that are going to make you, I mean, this whole process is to be mind-opening, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be like, that kind of thing. But I find a lot of times with my clients, it is because they've just never thought about these things because they don't know what they don't know. And that's where I come in, to
Right.
help people to learn more and to know more about what they don't know and how to, change that ignorance and also grow in the knowledge. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So the next meeting that we're going to have, I want you to have some kind of a vision board started.
Okay.
You said you can go this week, hopefully, and get the poster board, not the poster board, but the foam core. Like I
Right.
said, that's better. And start, it's a little bit harder these days to find magazines than it used to be. And
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But you can still find several without subscribing to them. Sometimes libraries, sometimes you can go find them at Goodwill stores. They might have some things that are collectors things. But, even if it's Time Magazine or Sports Illustrated, if your husband has something like that, because that
Right.
might be part of what he's got. Or definitely, you can buy a lot of housing magazines, not buy, you
Oh
can get a
yeah.
lot of housing magazines, right?
Oh, I have a lot of magazine subscriptions. I have magazine subscriptions for magazines I didn't even know I subscribed to. I can't even begin to tell you. I get everything from Oprah to Elle to Home and Garden to
Oh,
all
perfect,
sorts.
perfect. You've got all
So
kinds of things that are going to be right in keeping with what it is that you want and that you'll be
exactly.
putting on with your vision board.
Exactly. And I
Okay.
let my daughter cut stuff out all the time. So this will be a great project for the both of us to work on.
Okay, terrific. And yeah, getting the whole family involved is something that is so important because really, if you have people working against you when you're trying to move something, it's very difficult. That's why
Right.
I want people to get their family on board, talk to them about that. And creating a
Exactly.
vision board is really one of the first things. And again, you're going to help your daughter wire her brain to think that way and think in terms of visualizing what it is that she wants for the
Right.
future.
Right. No, and that's a good thing.
Okay. Well, speaking of calendaring, we'll go offline on this and we'll calendar the next session that we're going to be having to talk
Perfect.
about the vision board. And I'm excited to move ahead.
All right. Likewise. Thank
Okay.
you so much. It's been a pleasure, Julie, and I look forward to our next meeting.
Me too, Rebecca.
All
Me
right.
too.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye bye.